Welcome to Road to Recovery.
Hello and welcome to Road to Recovery, advocacy and insights for trucking accidents with Sagi Shaked. Sagi is founder of Shaked Law Personal Injury Lawyers and is ranked as one of the top 100 trial lawyers in the United States by the American Trial Lawyers Association. With a wealth of experience in personal injury, wrongful death, and complex litigation cases, he passionately advocates for victims and has recovered multi-million-dollar settlements in damages for his clients. I am your host, Kevin Rosenquist, and today we're going to talk about compulsory medical examinations. What are they? I'm going to find out too as soon as I start talking to Sagi. Sagi, great to see you.
Great seeing you again, Kevin.
All right, I'm not going to lie. I don't know what this is. So let's start at the top. What is a compulsory medical examination?
Sometimes they call it compulsory medical examination, defense medical examination, or a DME is another way of calling it. And basically, it's the insurance company and their defense lawyers get to hire a doctor to examine you. And so you have to go to that. If you're bringing a lawsuit or if you're suing your own insurance company, the insurance company has a right, because you're bringing this lawsuit or bringing a claim on their own on your own policy, they have a right to have you examined by a doctor that they hire. Now, so that's basically what a compulsory medical exam is. If you wanted to proceed to trial or try to get any type of compensation, you'd have to go to this compulsory. It's a required examination if they ask for it. If they don't ask for it, it's not required, but 99.999% of the time, basically 100% of the time, if you're making a claim for injuries, they're going to ask for their doctor to examine you. So it's a defense hired doctor. This is not a doctor that has a patient-doctor relationship. Doctor is hired by the insurance company through the defense lawyer. And you can just guess what they're going to put in these reports, and we'll talk about that, but they're not on your side. They're not here to help you. They are here to defend the insurance company, and you can pretty much say they're on the payroll.
Okay. And is there anything else that someone should know about a CME, particularly as it relates to a trucking accident case?
Yeah, so CMEs or DMEs in trucking accident cases are a super important part of your case. They're critical because you're going to go to the defense doctor, the one that they've hired hundreds of times in the past, because they know that doctor is going to give them what they need. So it's super important that you get prepared for that defense medical exam. This is not like going to your regular doctor or your treating physician where you go and you just show up and say, "Hey doc, take care of me. I got the flu. Can you give me something for that?" Or a general checkup. This is completely different. This doctor is biased. They have an interest in, putting in their reports that you're not injured from the crash, that your injuries, if you were injured, that you're all healed up and everything's back to normal. Because if the doctors, these defense medical exams or compulsory medical examiners, if they start saying people are injured, you know what happens? The insurance companies won't use them anymore. So they have their hired guns who will say whatever they want, and it's a very lucrative type of business. What do I mean?
Shady.
So yeah, you can get very shady, very, very shady. And that's why you have to have a skilled lawyer who's been to trial, who's board certified, who knows how to attack these defense doctors. And I'm going to talk about it in one of our podcasts. But basically, these hired guns are coming into court and they put on a dog and pony show. They know how to talk. They speak perfectly. They go to these prestigious schools. And you would say, why would they do that? Why would they do that? Why would they sell out a human being to the insurance company? A lot of doctors, it's all about the money, right? You take that oath, right, that the doctors take to do no harm, but they do harm. Why? Because they sell their soul for the money. So you have doctors who will say anything to please the insurance company. Because give it like this: you go to your primary care physician, you have health insurance, you pay a deductible of what, $25? You're in there, the doctor sees you, the doctor maybe gets another $25 from the insurance company, so it's $50. When the defense medical examiner gets hired by the insurance company, first of all, sends them medical records, or the defense lawyer will send them medical records. So now they have medical records, which they're charging $750 to $1,000 an hour. They don't even review them. They have their secretaries review them, or they put it into some software and they tell the insurance companies that they reviewed it. So they're reviewing a couple hundred pages of records. So they've making, 3 hours times there. So now they're already, let's say it's $1,000 an hour. They're at $3,000. Now you come in and see them. You're going to see them for about 10 minutes, 15 minutes tops, if you're lucky. And then they charge for that examination another $1,000. You're doing x-rays. They're charging for x-rays more than they would charge a person off the street. So by the time you finish the examination, you're talking about you've been in the waiting room, you filled out forms, and we'll talk about that. The doctor's making $2,000 to $4,000 per visit, where if they saw a regular patient off the street, they'd make the $25 plus another $25. So $50 versus $3,000 to $4,000. So a defense medical examiner can see 3 patients a day from the defense industry or from the insurance companies, and they'll make $10,000. Whereas a doctor working through regular health insurance companies would have to see 50 patients a day, and they still wouldn't even get to what the defense doctors make with one visit. So it's a money game. It's a money grab. They want to make money. It's a big money grab. And some people do sell out their souls for the insurance companies. And hopefully you have a lawyer who knows how to expose that, because there's certain words you're not allowed to say in court. In Florida, for example, we can't call the defense doctors hired guns. Can't do it. But you can surely show it with the numbers when you talk about how much money they've been paid over the years to say people aren't injured and, from the crashes. So that's a little bit broader than what this specific podcast is about regarding compulsory medical exams and what we need to do to prepare for them. But we'll do another podcast where we talk about how to prepare to cross-examine one of these doctors when they're trying to say that your client's not injured and what you need to know about that.
I know you teased the future episode, so I don't want to get too deep in the weeds, but how is this legal?
That's a great question.
It's perjury. At the end of the day, isn't it?
Yeah, if you can catch them in the lie, and that's the key. You got to catch them in the lie. And what they do, so we talked about this before the podcast started, you have these doctors who will find a article out there that says, we'll give you an example. Let's say someone hurts their neck. Their neck gets injured and they have a herniated disc. So there'll be a defense doctor who will find an article that some insurance company paid a doctor to write about. And then you have this article and they'll say, look, see this article? It says everyone that's in a crash heals after 6 to 8 weeks. So if you're in trial and you're sitting on a jury and you hear a defense doctor say, everybody should heal after 6 to 8 weeks, don't be fooled by that.
Yeah.
That's their common thing around the country. 6 to 8 weeks. And what I love doing with that is I'll tell the doctor, so you're saying my client Joe should have been healed back to normal after 6 to 8 weeks. And he'll be like, yes. Okay, well, which one is it? Is it 6 weeks or is it 8 weeks? And the defense doctor will say, I'll give you the benefit of the doubt, 8 weeks. Okay, doc, it's 8 weeks. Well, can you tell us, I want to know what day of the week that was that the pain stopped being from this crash and started being from something else. Well, I can't do that. Well, can you tell us? I want to know the date, the time, the specific hour, the minute and the second that the pain from this crash stopped being from this crash and was from something else that you say it's from. And, they're like, well, we can't do that. Well, of course you can't do that because it's ridiculous.
Yeah,
but that's what they try to do. They try to come up with these ridiculous positions, and they're smooth talkers, and sometimes juries fall for that. So hopefully if you're ever on a jury and you hear one of these defense quacks come up there, even if they come from prestigious schools, sell out for the money. So if you start hearing that stuff and say, wait a minute, that doesn't make sense. How is it that everybody's supposed to heal 6 to 8 weeks? It just doesn't work that way. Some people could heal in 6 to 8 weeks, but then some people could have it drag on for years because everybody's body's different, right?
Very good point.
So don't be fooled. Don't be fooled by that.
All right, let's get back to CMEs then. We'll save that for another time where we can complain about that. How would someone prepare for a CME if the injuries were very severe or just complicated?
What we like to do is, again, if we can get the clients into the office, some clients, their lives have been so dramatically impacted that I don't like to get them into the office. We'll go to their homes or we'll do a Zoom and we prepare them for the compulsory medical exam. Again, we're going to meet with them. tell them what to expect during these examinations. Don't expect the doctor to be your friend. They're going to be nice to you, but they're not going to be your friend. They're not going to be mean. There's no doctor-patient relationship. So this isn't your doctor. They're not going to give you advice. They're not going to make any recommendations. They're not going to put a plan for you. They're not going to prescribe medicine for you. This is a doctor. You have to have the frame of mind and say, this doctor is just going to examine me and is going to say I'm not injured from this crash or my injuries are back to normal. That's what they do. So if you have that frame of mind going into it, this is part of the game that the insurance company plays. And so we prepare the clients for it, going over their medical records, make sure they understand everything. And then knowing that if you have neck pain, when you go see that doctor, you complain of neck pain. Now, what we do when someone goes for these medical examinations, because I don't trust these doctors, I send a videographer and we'll videotape the whole examination. So they can't come in there, and if you don't videotape it, they'll come and say, well, Kevin was here and he told me that he ran a red light. I'm like, if we had the video, they wouldn't be able to say that, because if there's no video there, they'll do shady stuff and put in their report. So we want to keep them honest. We have a videographer there, and then we'll transcribe that video so there's no issues later on. So always get a videographer at these, or your attorney. Your attorney should be with you at these examinations, and your attorney can videotape it. You just got to request it ahead of time. So make sure that it's videotaped so what you're telling is not misconstrued and the doctor doesn't make stuff up. Because if they make stuff up, you know what? You play that video for the jury and say, Kevin never said that at his examination. He told you he had neck pain. Here's that clip. Why are you telling the jury something different? So we do that. We want to prepare the client for the compulsory medical examination, also have the videographer there. Make sure it's a videographer that knows the attention should be focused on the client or the patient. And then if the doctor is doing any funny business, hopefully you as a lawyer are there to protect your client from that. So, and then one of the things that I like to do is I like to make sure before these compulsory examinations take place, we file a motion with the court to limit what the doctor can do, because this doctor is not going to take another deposition of our client. He's not going to interrogate our client about how the crash occurred. He's a doctor. There's no reason, or she has no reason to look into how the crash occurred, right? You're there as a doctor to say the injuries are from the crash or they're not from the crash. Again, if it's a defense medical exam, it's never from the crash, it's from something else. But that's what a defense medical doctor does. So we limit them to that. We limit what they can do. We don't want our clients getting more radiation, so we'll limit the x-rays or CT scans. You want to know what's going on, get the other x-rays. You're not treating this person. Why do you need x-rays? So we try to limit everything to make sure that our clients, are not subject to a second deposition or more interrogation because the defense lawyer didn't ask the right questions at deposition, or this is the MO of the defense doctor.
What kind of questions, should someone expect during a CME for a trucking accident, and how would you respond if the doctor is implying your injuries aren't as serious or asking questions you shouldn't? Hopefully your attorney's there, but if not, can you shed some light on that?
Yeah, so the questions again should be really focused on medical only and nothing related to the crash. If you're rear-ended, you can say you were rear-ended, but that's about it. He doesn't need to know what speed you were going, where you were before the crash occurred, where you were after the crash. Why would she need to know that? She doesn't need to know that information. And in terms of your physical complaints, you really have to be descriptive as to what is bothering you, because a lot of times they'll have you fill out some forms where you will describe, or you'll put X's where you're hurting. So you need to make sure that wherever it is that you're hurting, you actually tell the doctor, because if it's not in the record, they're going to say you didn't complain about it. I don't want you to be a complainer, but I want you to voice whatever it is that you're having. So always be truthful, obviously, right? But you want to voice your complaints, whatever they are. If you're having hearing issues, if it's an audiologist, tell them about your hearing issues. If you're having neck pain, tell them about your neck pain. If it's knee pain, it's knee pain. So it really depends on what area they're going to examine. And if the examiner, the defense doctor, is examining you and it's causing you pain, you need to immediately tell the doctor to stop. This isn't, go hurt me now. This is, you can examine them, but you're not going to hurt my client. So that's what I would say. Let the defense doctor know if they're hurting you.
So what should someone do after they leave a CME?
So once you leave a CME, I mean, as soon as you get there, what I would do is first, and then this is part of the instructions, is look at your watch and see how long you're in, not necessarily the waiting room. And remember, they're recording you in the waiting room. So be careful what you're doing in the waiting room. They're always doing something silly to try to trip you up. Record how long.
They're allowed to do that?
Well, they put signs up there that you're being recorded. So every state is different. In Florida, if you're recording someone, you have to ask their permission and you have to let them know you're recording them. But they say, hey, if you're coming in this building, we're recording you, just so you know. If you don't want to be recorded, then leave. They do shady kind of things, like they'll drop things on purpose to see if the person can bend down and get them. There's little tricks these doctors do. Yeah. So obviously I wouldn't be on the phone talking to your lawyer from the waiting room area, because you don't know if they have microphones in there, whether they're not allowed to do it, but they still may do it. So we really want to make sure that, again, truthful, honest, and the defense doctor and lawyer probably won't be truthful and honest, but we're going to be truthful, we're going to be honest, we're going to be credible. So after the CME, so again, we have the person time how long they were actually in the examination room, because again, sometimes it's 5 minutes. 5 minutes, doctor, you got $1,000 for 5 minutes of seeing my client. That's what you got paid. And then I'll break it down per the minute, right? And that's a lot of money per minute. I mean, it's ridiculous the amount of money they make. That's why it's important to expose that. So I want to know how long they were in there. And I want to have a phone call with the client. Let me know what the doctor said. Obviously, the doctor is not going to, again, tell them anything that is going to be beneficial to their case, other than saying you're perfectly fine, everything's normal. And of course, the doctor gets to see them for a 5, 15, 20-minute snapshot in time and doesn't really get a good feel. So afterwards, make sure you call the lawyer. Make sure you go over your thoughts of what happened during the examination with your lawyer, recording the time. And then there's going to be, that's the end of the compulsory medical examination. Usually they'll send your lawyer a report.
And what's in that report?
So that's a great question. So the way the rules work, at least in Florida, if you, the plaintiff's lawyer, request a copy of the report, the defense has to give you a copy of that report. So there's a rule of civil procedure that says that. And in that report, the doctor's got to put down their opinions of what they believe is the cause of the injuries. What are the injuries? Is it permanent? Is it not permanent? And here's what I want everyone to know, that if you have, meaning non-catastrophic cases, if it's catastrophic where someone has a spinal cord injury or has, amputations or surgeries at the hospital immediately, it's going to be hard for the defense doctor to say that they weren't caused from this crash. What they'll say is that you're back to normal, or you've made an amazing, miraculous recovery. When you really haven't.
Like Wolverine.
Yeah, exactly. You automatically adapt. What they say in the other cases, in cases where it's more of cases I used to take when I was a younger lawyer, like the soft tissue type of cases, they'll say that the injuries are all healed up, or after 6 weeks of treatment, there's no more, it's not reasonable, it's not necessary to have any more treatment. So not reasonable, related, or necessary any more treatment after the 6 weeks. So they want to cut it off. And then in Florida, to get compensation for pain, suffering, mental anguish, disfigurement, and all the other stuff related to pain and suffering, you have to prove the person has a permanent injury. So the defense doctors, they know to put in their reports that this is not a permanent injury within a reasonable degree of medical probability. So that's the language from the jury instruction. So they always say that. So expect in the report, you're back to normal, you're made a miraculous recovery, and you don't have permanent injuries. That's what they put in these reports. So that's what you should expect. Now, I wouldn't get nervous about it. If you have a lawyer that knows what they're doing, they'll know how to expose that. They'll know how to take that apart. Because again, these are doctors. That's what they do for a living. They don't even treat people anymore. It's not lucrative. It doesn't make sense to treat people. You can treat 50 people a day and get paid peanuts, or you can do these examinations, these compulsory medical examinations, these CMEs, 2 a day, and you're making like $8,000, and they're working for about an hour between the 2 of them. So why even, see patients? Yep. That's why you see a lot of the older doctors, they'll do it. There's doctors that don't even see patients anymore. All they do is these examinations. They do 5 to 6 a week because it's good money. And it can't be sued for malpractice because there's no malpractice. when you're doing compulsory medical exams. It's crazy, actually. It's
It
a
is
whole
crazy.
racket. There was one doctor, he used to go around wearing on his shirt, made money from IMEs. They call them independent medical exams. They're not independent because the defense is choosing them, but that's how he built his house, on independent medical exams, supposedly. But this is the kind of stuff we have to deal with. Of course, some of that stuff can't get into trial, so juries don't know, but hopefully now they're more aware.
Yeah, well, I look forward to that episode because I'm gonna have lots of questions for that topic. Well, thanks for tuning in to Road to Recovery, advocacy and insights for trucking accidents with Sagi Shaked. For more information or to connect with Sagi, visit shakedlaw.com, and don't forget to like, subscribe, and review our channel. Sagi, always good to see you. Thanks for being here.
Likewise. Thanks, Kevin.
Thanks for watching. Be sure to hit that like and subscribe button and leave us a review in the comments.